Thursday at 7 p.m. and we just talk. This is for individuals who have experienced domestic violence or partner abuse. We know partner abuse is not just women anymore, but it is women and men. And domestic violence does not discriminate. It happens to males and females. It doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your religion, it doesn't matter your sexuality. Domestic violence does not discriminate. And so we are here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. and also every last Saturday of each month at 6 o'clock, every Thursday at 7. We are here typically on Zoom. It's the same username and password for Thursday. And then our last Saturday of each month is the same username and password. You can always find us in all the up and coming events on our website, which is angelshaven.com. And I'll move out the way so you can spell it ANGELSHAVINN.com. We can be reached via email at support@angelshaven.com. And our phone number is 301-246-3131. If you ever need resources or you need help or assistance, please feel free to reach out to us. We want to make sure that no one is suffering in silence, and that, and this space on Thursday nights was created about 5 years ago. Well, we've been doing Thursday nights for about 1 year. And every last Saturday of each month, we've been doing that for 5 years. That space was created during the pandemic because we know that during domestic violence, during the pandemic, it was at a all-time high because we were in close proximity with our abusers. And I thought at that time, well, we couldn't meet in person, but I was like, oh, let's do it online. And so for the past 5 years, every last Saturday, we've been meeting online just to offer a safe space, just to offer a place where we could yell, scream, talk about an unspeakable conversation in a safe space with other individuals who have gone through or are going through the same thing. Even though this space tonight is going to be on YouTube Live and also Facebook, but when I'm disclosing that for those who need to take your cameras off, those who come in on Zoom tonight, but everything is confidential, and we do offer resources for individuals who need it. But it's a space where we want to be able to talk and share and get understanding about what's happening. So today, I like to partner what our nonprofit does with mental health, because mental health to me is very important, just like self-care. We call our last Saturday group Love Yourself. And loving yourself includes mental health. It includes taking care of your mind, your body, and your soul. And I think it's very important that we take care of our mental. We take care of our mental, and we talk about it all the time. We don't just talk about it in May. Some of the ladies and gentlemen who come to our groups, we talk about self-care, we talk about mental health, and we're not just talking about it because it is Mental Health Awareness Month, but we are bringing it to the forefront because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I have a wonderful host who I will introduce after this short video. So if you bear with me, I'm going to attempt to share the screen and show a brief video about mental health awareness. Give me 1 second.
Lost in the crowd. Have you ever felt completely alone, even when surrounded by people? It's a strange paradox. You might be in a bustling room, filled with laughter, yet an invisible wall separates you from everyone else. This feeling of being cut off, misunderstood, or simply too much to handle can be incredibly heavy, even when you're physically close to others. When we feel isolated, our unspoken words become a crushing burden. We carry fears, anxieties, and deep sadness that we don't dare share. This silence can grow louder than any sound, filling our minds with worries about the past, present, and future. It's a constant struggle just to get through the day, leaving us feeling overwhelmed and completely drained, drifting apart. Sometimes the struggle becomes so intense that we start to drift away. We might pull back from friends, family, or activities we once loved. It's not a choice. It's a desperate need to protect ourselves from further pain or from feeling misunderstood. This drifting can make the loneliness even deeper, creating a cycle that feels impossible to break. A hand, extended. But even when we feel furthest away, a hand can reach out. It might be an unexpected text from a friend, not asking for anything, just saying, "Thinking of you." It could be a simple, non-judgmental question, or just someone's quiet presence. These small gestures are like lifelines thrown across the invisible gap, inviting you back towards connection. Building the bridge. Accepting that hand, taking that first step towards connection, is incredibly brave. It's about saying, "I need help," or "I'm struggling." Whether it's confiding in a trusted loved one, seeking guidance from a therapist, or joining a support group, you're building a bridge. And on that bridge, you find understanding, validation, and a shared path forward. The flow of healing. Healing isn't a sudden fix. It's a flow, a continuous movement forward. It involves learning healthy ways to cope, nurturing your mind, and allowing yourself to be supported. You'll discover that even small acts of self-care and consistent connection with your support system can lead to incredible growth. You'll slowly feel a sense of lightness and hope you thought was lost forever, becoming a wave of change. Once you've crossed that bridge, you can help others build theirs. Your journey becomes a powerful testament to the impact of connection. By sharing your story, listening with an open heart, and offering a hand, you become a vital part of a growing chain of hope. You help break down the invisible walls that isolate others, making it easier for them to find their way to a brighter future. Connect, care, change lives. If you're struggling, know that you are worthy of connection and care. Your voice matters. Don't suffer in silence. Are you ready to be part of the ripple effect? Reach out. And if you see someone struggling, be the bridge. Offer a listening ear, a kind word, or direct them to resources. Together, by building strong connections, we can create a world where everyone feels seen, supported, and hopeful. For more insights on building resilience and fostering meaningful connections,
All right. So I just wanted just to share a little bit just about the importance of mental health awareness. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest for this evening. And our guest for this evening is Colleen Dion. She is a mental health advocate, educator, and founder of Green Heart University, an online school dedicated to training and certifying individuals in mental health advocacy and coaching. Through her work, she has equipped hundreds of students with the tools to support their communities, lead with empathy, and advocate for mental wellness in schools, workplaces, churches, and beyond. Kalena's passion for mental health advocacy is deeply rooted in her personal journey. She has navigated over 2 decades of anxiety, OCD, indirect PTSD, depression, and health anxiety experiences that once disrupted her daily life, but ultimately led her to prioritize healing and purpose. Through therapy, education, and self awareness, she's transformed her challenges into a mission to create space where others feel seen, supported, and empowered. Her lived experience allows her to connect authentically with diverse audiences and speak openly about the complexities of mental health, helping to break the stigma and encourage honest conversations across generations. Kalina is known for her transparency, retailability, and ability to turn real life struggles into impact teaching moments. Now, without, I'm not going to read the rest because I am going to let her share the rest of her journey with you guys. So welcome. What I will say is that you would think we've been knowing each other forever. I think we've been knowing each other every bit of 2 to 3
2
weeks.
weeks. Yep.
We met at a nonprofit workshop about 3 weeks ago, and we connected. And I'm just so happy that we connected and that we're staying connected and are going to continue collaborating on some wonderful things. And so I'm happy to be on this journey with her. So without further ado, I am going to mute my screen and I am going to let her have the floor. But again, let me just thank you in advance for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us and share tonight on mental healthness. So welcome.
Thank you so much. And she's absolutely right. We connected a couple weeks ago, and we've been in sync ever since. So thank you so much for the opportunity. So again, I'm Colleen Diana. You know, tonight is going to be about transparency. So I'm going to start off just by saying, you know, I had every intention to start off with or to present my anxiety advocacy presentation, but it would not load for whatever reason. And so I believe in divine flow. And so, you know, I was led to just, you know, talk about mental health advocacy to lay the foundation for everybody to know what that is, how you can be an advocate for the voiceless, and how important that is, especially right now in the communities that we are all living in. But I will weave some anxiety advocacy in there. In fact, I even want to start off with, so I am the author of F Anxiety. And so I'm going to read a couple of things from here because before I even got on my mental health advocacy journey, I had to say F anxiety. I had to develop this attitude about anxiety, like, you will not take my life from me. And so I developed this F anxiety spirit, and I just started going for my dreams in spite of anxiety, in spite of PTSD, in spite of depression and all of those things. And that is why I'm here before you today as a certified mental health advocate. And we teach and certify other people in mental health advocacy, but it started with this. So I just want to read just a little bit from the book, and also just so you'll know where I've been. And then I also want to make sure that, you know, when you leave here tonight, you will have a different appreciation for the color green. All right. So if you are ready to dive in and learn how to be the best mental health advocate you can be within your home, within your community, your workplace, go ahead and type green in the chat for me while I read a little bit from my book. So for a very long time, I was full of anxiety. I'm gonna stand up. For a very long time, I was full of anxiety, depression, fear, anger, self-doubt, low self-esteem, and alcohol. Okay. Everything was hurting me emotionally and mentally and physically. During my darkest days, nobody understood or wanted to understand. In fact, they called me names and passed judgment before they even knew what I was going through. It made me so afraid to speak up and speak out about it that it completely silenced me for years. But as scary as it was, I took a stand and I put up a serious fight for my soul, my health, my spirit, and everything that matters in this life. I stopped caring about what people thought of me, and I started caring more about getting better. So before I go to the next page, I just want, this is going to be a very interactive, like I said, impromptu presentation, and I want to hear from you. So have you ever felt like that? Like, you know, people are judging me. They don't even know what I'm going through. And then you get to a point where it's like, you know what? what you saw on TV. That's part of making sure that your mental health stays a priority. So you don't have to be in this very bad way to seek a therapist. Just like you go, and I'm sure, this may sound cliche, but just like you go to your you go to your primary care doctor every single year for a physical. You don't go because you feel bad. You don't go because, you think something's wrong. You're going because let me get my blood work to make sure everything's good. Let me talk to my doctor about some things. I've been having some pains in my knees. I know it's not anything significant, but maybe she can recommend some Advil or, something like that, right? So we are all up on our physical care with our primary care doctor because that's the norm. That's society's norm. If you have a physical illness that you can see, then it's acceptable, right? And like I said, it doesn't have to be an illness. So I want you to think about getting mental health, as preventative as well. And then if you have an established relationship with a therapist, should something happen, then you already have that rapport where you can go and sit down and talk about it. And your therapist may be able to provide some type of, plan for you that will help you. Your plan may include some type of journaling. It may include some exercise. It may include, whatever you may need. And they are the experts. So that is why they are there. So I strongly encourage people to do that. I had a therapist, let me stop sharing because I can't see y'all. I had a therapist, I've had a therapist since 2002. And, it wasn't until, like I said, I was bedridden. I couldn't drive. I would try to drive and my car would end up on the side of the road and I would end up in an ambulance because I would have a panic attack. Every day I would wake up, I would feel something that I couldn't explain. Later on, I found out it was an onset of all those things. And so I just remember laying in the bed and, my family was like, no, we're going to pray this away. You're going to be fine. Meanwhile, I'm declining. I am, like I said, I'm not able to work. I'm not able to live by myself. I'm not able to watch certain things on TV because it triggers me even more. So I'm like, even though everybody's saying, no, we're going to pray it away, or that sounds crazy. I've heard all of it. I decided that, I was worth the investigation. Like, I'm going to find out what is going on with me. I ended up racking up over $70,000 worth of hospital bills because I kept thinking I was physically ill. So there was a point where I would get in the shower and I could not feel the water on my skin. That's how much of a panic and numb I was, but I did not know that it was my mental health. And prior that year, I had lost my son. And I also, in September the 11th happened. And so when I went to the doctors, $70,000 later, a doctor gave me a referral to the behavioral health number. And I said, what is this? I'm like, you are missing something. Like, what is behavioral health? Something's wrong with me physically. And so I decided to call the behavioral health number, and the therapist that I got with, she literally walked me through all of what I was feeling, told me exactly what it was, why it was, and here's how we're going to fight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and even though I had these diagnoses from the ER, the generalizing anxiety disorder, panic disorder, indirect PTSD, depression, this, that, I had all these diagnoses, which was scary. But when I got into therapy, it became my power, because I'm like, okay, I know it's this, this, and this. Now, how do I fight this? How do I fight that? How do I fight? It's not a weak thing. It gives you power, because now that because it's about self-awareness. You cannot correct what you're not aware of. And so the diagnoses and all of that gave me the self-awareness that I needed to then fight, because otherwise I would just be throwing darts at the wall trying to figure this out. And so when I had the diagnosis, I'm like, here, this is what they said I had. And she's like, okay, you have a textbook case of this. This is why you're doing this. So I'm like, okay, you know, and she's like, we can fight it. So I was in aggressive therapy every single day because I wasn't working. So I was in aggressive therapy every single day until I learned exactly what I had, why I had it, and how to fight it. And then once I finally got, now I did have to take medication for a little while. And sometimes I still do. It just depends, you know. But during that time, after I went through all of that therapy, I felt like myself again. And I couldn't believe it. I was just so proud of myself. And I was running around telling people like, you know, if I do this, then you should do this. And I'm starting to teach, and, you know, because I'm like, I need y'all to know how to take care of me if I go that way again. And so my family and friends did not know how to take care of me. So it was my responsibility to advocate for myself and say, okay, when you see me laying in the bed, open up the curtains. Tell me, you know, let's have a code word. I had this whole thing, and I started teaching everybody how to take care of me. And, you know, I didn't even know I was advocating back then. I just knew that's what I needed to do. And so it's like I said, your thing don't have to be that extreme, you know. But had I went to a therapist right when I lost my son, and I didn't start drinking and partying, and maybe, like, you know, when September the 11th happened, maybe I should have went to the counselor's office at Morgan State, because I didn't understand what I just saw. I didn't understand how to process it. Maybe if I did that ahead of time, I wouldn't have had a huge, you know, like this thing just festering on the inside of me to it exploded, and I could no longer live life like I wanted to live it. So I encourage everybody to just take the time for themselves, because you are worth it. Even if it takes investigation, you paying your copay, you getting some resources, it is worth it. You're going to feel better. And therapy, one thing I will say is, if you get a therapist and you don't have a connection with that therapist, find another one. Do not give up. Sometimes you don't have the connection right away, just like your primary care doctor. Some primary care doctors have the worst bedside manner, and you just find another one, right? You go to somebody and say, hey, can you recommend a doctor? You don't give up and say, well, I'm just going to never get a physical again. No, it's the same thing, you know, for mental health. So I encourage you to just fight for your own healing. You know, we all need healing. We all need, I don't care what you're doing in this world. I don't care what degrees you have. I don't care about any of that. We all need to talk to somebody. Period.
Thank you. I mean, that you just answered like 20 questions
Yeah,
all in one. And let me
I
just
know.
applaud you for your journey, because it takes strength
Thank you.
to advocate for yourself and to keep fighting for yourself. So thank you for loving yourself and coming in our love circle to talk
Yes.
about your journey. So we got all ears. We're ready for the next part.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. Um, can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay. Oops. I don't know what happened to my, all right, there we go. All right, so we are going to talk about mental health advocacy when it meets purpose, okay? And so, you know, like I said, we talked a lot about what advocacy is, but I want to dive a little bit deeper and I want to talk about speaking up with confidence, what advocacy is, and more importantly, talk about what it is not, okay? So I'm gonna pass this, you know who I am, we're like besties now, so I'm gonna skip that. Um, so what I want to say is, you're absolutely not here by accident. You're here because you care, you know, because you know that silence does not work anymore. And this isn't about being perfect or having all the answers. It's really about showing up for others with a green heart. That's what we say in our community, empathy and purpose. So over the next 30 minutes or less, you'll learn how to speak up with confidence without fear of saying the wrong thing, share your story in a way that inspires but not overshare, and be an advocate in just everyday life, at work, in your household, in your community, at your child's school. And today we're going to flip the script on what it really means to be an advocate. So it's not about titles, it is about the impact that you make. All right. So by the end of this, you'll understand that your voice is, in fact, a resource, and it is up to you with how you use your voice. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in. Advocacy. What is advocacy? Advocacy simply is using your voice, your stories, and actions to raise awareness, educate, and support mental health in your own way. All right. It is not cookie cutter, despite what people may say. You can be a mental health advocate in so many creative ways. I'm going to share some of those in just a moment. Advocacy does not require a platform or a degree. It just requires the courage to speak up. Okay. Just like me just telling you my story, I talked about having to file bankruptcy because I racked up over $70,000 worth of hospital bills. I talked about not being able to get out the bed. I talked about, all of that, right? A lot of people say, oh my gosh, how can you share that? Courage. Because if you share your story, if you are transparent, then it will open up or give other people the green light to do the same thing. But it has to start somewhere. So it has to start with you being courageous. Okay. That is what advocacy is all about. And so everyday advocacy, though, can be as simple as having a conversation, posting a resource on social media. Just like today when April posted tonight's, Zoom, that's a resource. That is part of being an advocate. So it's not about saving people. I don't want people to think that, if I'm calling myself a mental health advocate, I'm committing to saving them, or that is not your role. It's just about showing up. It's about using your voice. All right. So if you feel like you do this on a regular basis, put in the chat, I do this. I want to know if this is just something that you do just because you have a heart of green, like we say in my organization. And I'm sure that you do because you are here for a reason. Okay, so yeah, I knew it. All right, so what advocacy is not, what it is not being a therapist. It is not being a therapist. It is not knowing all the answers. You will not know all the answers. In fact, even if you don't have any answers, that's fine. Advocacy is about being the bridge from the person to their resource. All right. You may not be that resource, but you may be the person to take them there, and also being that voice. All right. It is not fixing people. And it is not oversharing your own struggles for validation. So have you ever gone to someone because you're looking for some type of support and all they're talking about is what they're going through? Have you ever gone through that? Raise your hand or drop some green hearts if you have gone through that. And you know what that feels like, right? Because it's like, wait a minute, how did we start talking about, and you want to validate them as well, right? But it's a little difficult when that happens. All right. But I just want you to know that you're not here to diagnose, you're not here to treat or fix anyone. That is not your lane. Advocacy is not about trauma dumping or needing to relive your pain for approval. You are not someone's counselor. You are their support, their safe space. And like I said, their bridge to resources. That is the one thing I want by the end of this. I want you to know that you would be the bridge to their resources. So here are some examples of everyday advocacy, and I want you to drop in the chat, what are some things that you do from this list? So friend and family conversations, social media awareness posts, workplace mental health conversations, social media aware, I already said that, school community check-ins. So put in the chat, what are some things you do? Okay. Awesome, awesome. So I know we don't have a lot of time, but I would want you to put in the chat a time where you advocated, just a brief, you know, um, 1 to 2 sentences on a time where you advocated, and then we're going to come back and read them. All right, so I told you that I will tell you about some creative ways you can make advocacy creative, right? People think that when you talk about mental health, it has to be this dry conversation. And I understand we're talking about some heavy stuff sometimes, but sometimes if you make it colorful, if you make it lighthearted, with a lighthearted undertone, but with being open arms and still very professional, it will work out. All right. So at Green Heart University, we believe that advocacy should be personal, expressive, and human, not robotic. We do not have to read a textbook or anything like that. So I turned my own mental health journey into a movement, like you already know, through storytelling, safe spaces, and creative community events like Light the City. So every single year, we light the city. My organization lights City Hall green for mental health awareness. We couldn't do it this year because the dome is under construction, but we've done it for 6 years straight. That is, a way to be an advocate. That is a way to bring awareness, right? And so we invite the city out. We have resources there. Brandon Scott may speak, or I may have a student speak. So there are so many different things you can do. And so we teach advocacy in a way that helps people find their own lane, whether it's through writing, speaking, videos, or just being a safe space for others. So again, it doesn't have to be boring. Okay. Also, what are some creative ways that you have advocated for someone? So here are some other ways as well that I want you to keep in mind. Creative expression advocacy could be art pieces that reflect, mental health struggles and hope, spoken word. One of my instructors, she does amazing spoken word for mental health and poetry that gives voice to lived experiences. You can create. We are very much in a digital world. So creating reels or TikToks with some quotes, some personal insights. If you want to share some things about your lived experience, you can absolutely do that. You can go on Canva and create some infographics with some mental health facts or did you knows. Digital advocacy is sharing mental health resources in your IG stories, recording a short video about what I wish people understood about anxiety is an example. I did something like that before. What I wish people understood about anxiety. What is something that you can do? Like what I wish people understood about overwhelm. What I wish people understood about depression. What I would, you know what I mean? Like, you can pull it from your own lived experience. It doesn't have to be anyone else's. You can start a hashtag movement. And you can also do a virtual mental health check-in with your friends or community. All right. And these are just a few things, right? It just really depends on your personal style. You can do one or all of these. So storytelling, you can write blogs, you can share your lessons. And then your everyday micro advocacy is, for instance, like correcting stigma, like language that continues the stigma. So for instance, if you hear someone says, oh my gosh, she's so crazy, she always anxious. Well, you can say, why would you say crazy? We don't say crazy. She is not crazy. You know what I mean? And I'm going to teach you on some things that you can say instead of those things. But that word crazy has been used a whole lot in our community and beyond. And if you hear somebody saying those things, you can speak up and correct them. Again, you can do a resource, a hotline, or article when someone opens up. So here's the one thing that really had me stuck for a long time. So these are some of the myths about being a mental health advocate. People think that they're not qualified to be a mental health advocate. They think that they have to be, have a lot of letters behind their name. They have to be a therapist, a psychiatrist, a doctor of some sort. They think that they have to have it all figured out. They have to be fully healed before they can help someone else. They think that, like, who am I? No one will listen to me. Okay, so have you said those things to yourself? Say yes or no in the chat. Let me know. Has any of those things, any of those myths came across your mind when you thought about mental health advocacy? I'm not qualified, I have to be perfect or fully healed, or no one will listen to me. Has that ever come across? Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. For a long time, I did not think that I could be a mental health advocate because I dropped out of Morgan State University a long time ago. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not qualified. And other people would tell me that as well. But later on, when you are called to do something, that is your qualification. All right. When you have the lived experience, that is the qualification. You do not have to be 100% healed. Advocacy and healing can coexist. Okay, so you could be healing, we're all a work in progress, right? But you may be a tiny bit more ahead of someone else. You may be the person in your crew or your family that has a therapist. And just because you have, a therapist, you are able to advocate for someone who doesn't and say, hey, I can help you find a therapist. Let me tell you what I did. Okay. And you could be going through your own thing, and that's fine. If you speak up, someone will hear you, and they may have been waiting for someone just like you to say it. So a lot of times we're all in the room, we're all screaming on the inside, and we're waiting for that one person to be courageous enough to say, I need help, or this is what I'm feeling, or I'm so overwhelmed I can just scream, because most of the time we're all feeling the same way. We just need someone to say it. It can be you. It can be you. All right, so you can absolutely use your story to raise awareness, just like I just did that with my book. You don't have to be an author, or you don't have to have a story like mine. If you used to be overwhelmed, but you found out how to delegate, that is a story that you can share about how, being a leader, you were able to delegate, and it reduced your overwhelm and stress. That is a story to raise awareness. Okay. So you want to, not share diagnoses or anything like that. You don't have to do that. But you just want to focus on how you felt and what helped you. You don't want to say, so I recommend that you do this. You can just say, this is what helped me. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. This is what helped me. And you always want to leave people with hope or a helpful next step. Okay, so your story is powerful, but it's how you deliver it that creates impact. All right, so you're not sharing for shock value, you're sharing to build understanding, compassion and connection. That is what you're doing. Okay, so how many of you, put story in the chat if you have, told your story and, to raise awareness? Or if you have not, is that something that you can see yourself doing? Okay, awesome. All right, so I want to give you a challenge, okay? And so your advocacy intro, like if you decide that when you leave here, you want to start being a mental health advocate, I want you to use this prompt. So you want to say, you can post this on social media. Hi, my name is Colleen. I care about mental health because, and then you can say, I believe that everyone deserves to heal or whatever you choose. That's why I choose to be an advocate. So this would be your first step into advocacy. You don't need a fancy platform. However, you do need your voice, and you need to let people know that, hey, me over here, I'm a resource for you. So go ahead and screenshot this or take a picture of this, because I'm going to challenge you, if you are led, to let everybody know that, hey, I'm going to be a resource and be an advocate. So go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you're going to take on the challenge. Awesome. All right, so here's the last part that I want to share. And this is how we break the stigma and share the tools. So I told you I wanted to let you know what to say and what not to say. Okay. So that is very, very, very important. And that is a struggle, because people just don't know. They say things just because they don't have the training. They don't know. They mean well, but sometimes, it can cause some harm. So I want to make sure that you know what to say, what not to say, and resources that help. All right. So let's go into that. So the power of language and advocacy, language can heal or harm. I want you to really understand that. Okay. So before you are speaking about something, especially when it pertains to mental health, or if someone has come to you about something, if someone has come to you about, something they're struggling with, like alcoholism, or, maybe they had a panic attack, or whatever the case may be, what you say to them in return can either help their healing or can harm them. So words can carry a lot of weight, especially when someone is struggling. So I want you to also put yourself in their shoes, even though you may not have the same journey, but everybody is entitled to respect. Okay. And sometimes, again, the things people say with good intentions can actually shut others down. And we don't do that intentionally, but that's why it's important to have the training so you'll know what to do, what not to do. So our job as an advocate is not to have the perfect words, but to use language that feels safe, supportive, and shame-free. All right. So here are some things that I want you to keep in mind that you should not say. And you're probably going to be surprised about some of them. But what not to say is just be positive. Just 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 be positive. And the reason why you don't want to say that is because if someone can just be positive, then they would just be positive. Nobody wants to be, negative. All right. So it's all in your head. I used to hear that all the time because, like I told you before, the things that I was struggling with, when I went to the doctors, all of my tests were normal. My CAT scans were normal. This was normal. That was normal. So nobody saw any physical breakdown. It was all happening on the inside. So a lot of people say it's all in your head. So when people say that, it reduces what you're feeling. And then you start questioning, like, oh my gosh, is there something wrong with me? So you never want to say that to somebody. You also don't want to say, you're being so dramatic. Put a 2 in the chat if you've heard any of those so far. We have 2 more, but have you heard any of those 3 so far? Put a 2 in the chat. If you've heard it or if you said it, if you said any of it without, intentionally harming. Another big one is other people have it worse. Like somebody could call you and say, I'm really struggling because, I don't have a lot of food in my house. It's making me really depressed because I cannot believe I don't have no money. I'm struggling. You know, I don't know what to do. And someone may say, well, your lights are on. Other people have it worse. So you're diminishing again what could be their trigger that could cause some other things. And I also heard this one a lot, but you don't look anxious, you know. So again, even when we mean well, these phrases can feel dismissive and they can minimize what someone is feeling. So when someone opens up about their mental health, they're trusting you with a piece of their vulnerability. So don't shut that door, okay? Because it probably took them a lot to say what they said to you. Again, you want to avoid advice, okay? And your presence is often more powerful than your words. So sometimes you don't have to say anything, but just you sharing space with someone may make them feel safer. Here are some things you can say instead. So I want to leave you with this because I told you what not to say, but I know you're probably like, okay, Kelly, well, what do I say? So you want to say, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. If somebody's crying because they're grieving, all right, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say to this person, just say, I am here for you. I am here for you. That's it. Another thing you can say is, that sounds really heavy. Thank you for sharing that with me. You want to make sure that you are acknowledging that I know that this probably wasn't easy for you to do. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for trusting me with that. Another good one is there anything you need right now? What can I do for you right now? Because I want to be here for you. I am here for you. Is there anything you need right now? You don't have to go through this alone. And then if you want to take it a little bit further, you can say, would it help, like if they share some things, or even if they don't share and they don't want to talk to you, you can say, well, would it help if you talk to someone professionally? I can absolutely help you do that. You know what I mean? So and let it come from a genuine place. Okay. So supportive language validates what they're going through. It doesn't fix it. We are not fixing anything. We are validating the space and time that they're in. Sometimes advocacy is just making space. Again, it's not giving answers, saying thank you when they open up. Because again, it takes a lot for them to do that. So here are some tools you can share. So the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, NAMI.org, local support groups like this one that we're on right now, Greenheart University, journaling prompts. So you don't have to be a therapist to point someone to tools that work. Part of your role as an advocate is to say you don't have to carry this alone, and here's a place to start. Again, you are that bridge to their what? Put it in the chat. Fill in the blank. You are a bridge to their what? See, let's see then. You are a bridge to their, I see it in the chat, to their resources. You are a bridge to their resources. Okay, so again, you're not a counselor, all right? You're not a therapist. Supportive just means being present, listening, and encouraging next steps, not diagnosing. And I want you to understand that healthy advocacy means protecting your energy while you're showing up for others. So you have to prioritize self before you can pour into someone else. So how are we pouring or filling up our cup? You want to fill up your cup from going to the gym, eating the right things, having your own support system, whatever that is for you, having your own therapist, your own check-ins. You want to make sure that your cup is staying full if you're going to take on the advocate role, because you need overflow to pour into someone else. Do not pour when you are depleted. You can say, you want to, connect them, right? And you want to let them know that you're there, but you can also let them know in a nice way that you're going to connect them with someone that that they can trust to provide some resources if you don't have the capacity. So you have to protect your energy as well. All right, so this is the last challenge. So if you're up to it, you can take a picture of this, create a post, reel, or story showing one thing that people can say that supports someone with a mental health struggle. All right, so this is your opportunity to put what you learn into action, use your own voice, show people what it's like or what it sounds like to support someone in a meaningful way. And this is how we break the stigma, by modeling it, not just by talking about it. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Now, what I will say is, if anyone tonight is interested in getting, comprehensive training where you can become a certified mental health advocate and then take it a little bit further and become a certified mental health coach, where we teach you how to create your own mental health initiatives that will be implemented into the communities, your households, schools, churches. You can absolutely go to greenheartuniversity.com and apply. We have a summer cohort coming up on June the 14th. And after that, we have a fall cohort as well. So you will be able to experience the green culture and just all of the amazing, other students, alum, instructors who share the same passion. And so you're more than welcome to apply. So I just want to open it up for questions. I hope you all learned tonight, and I hope you have a better appreciation for green. And I'm here for questions. Thank you for the green hearts.
I think you shared a wealth of information tonight, and I just want to thank you again for teaching us how to be advocates, and especially the what not to say and what to say, because I think a lot of us, we want to advocate and we may sometimes say the wrong thing. So this was definitely helpful and healthy. I'm definitely going to go back and look at it and screenshot some things so I can make sure even in the partner abuse and domestic violence world, we can use some of those same practices of what to say and not to say, because words do mean everything.
Yes.
But I'm gonna let and see if Tracy has any questions that she wants to ask, and if not, then we're going to go ahead and close out. I'm just going to talk about some up and coming events, but I do also want you to put in the chat, and then one more time, please share the website, share your email address in case people online listening or who may listen to it later can get in contact with you for maybe a speaking engagement or to join the university at a time when it works for them, or just how to get in contact with you if they want some advice on advocacy or just questions that they have prior to joining the university. So I want to give you some time to share that again verbally for those who are listening live.
Okay, thank you. So if you would like to become a certified mental health advocate and coach, you can go to www.greenheartuniversity.com. And if you would like to book me for a speaking engagement, you can also go to greenheartuniversity.com and just click on work with Colleen Diana. If you want to look more at our certifications, once you get to the website, you can click on get certified and you can see, what those are. And then you can also email us at learn@greenheartuniversity.com. We'll be more than happy to direct you and assist you with the application process if necessary. So yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting and working with you if you are interested. And I also put it in the chat as well.
Okay. All right. Well, sweetheart, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is your first, but it will not be your last time joining us. We're going to probably do a part 2 before the end of the year, because we definitely want to stay connected and do some collaboration to make sure that everyone knows the importance of mental health. Again, not just because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, but because we need mental health. We need to stay mental healthy 365 days a
Absolutely.
year. So again, I just want to, I'm so glad we met a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think it was by accident. I think God aligns us and it was a divine setup, and I appreciate just you taking the time out again just to share with us this evening. So just a little bit, just I'm going to go over a couple of up and coming events, which are, I'm going to see if I can share my screen and make it a little easier.
And thank you so much.
Oh, gosh, anytime.
Mhm.
Okay, so next week, next Thursday, same time, same place, different hosts. We're going to have Mrs. Jennifer Reynolds. She's a licensed therapist. So next week, you'll get an opportunity to ask a therapist a question. Now, it won't be a therapy session, but you will be able to ask questions, maybe something you've been wanting to ask or something you've been wanting to share and get a little light on the subject. Next Thursday at 7 o'clock, Jennifer Reynolds, and she's from Copious Group. It's a therapy group, and actually they partner with us for those needing individual counseling. And then the last Thursday, Miss Leanne is going to host our support group, Love Yourself, the last Saturday of this month um, at 6 p.m. And you can go to and there's the passcode and ID for that, but you can also get those on our website at angelshaven.com. And then starting in June, we're going to start our back to school drive, where we will be collecting book bags and school supplies, also monetary donations, so that in August, actually August 8th, we will be having our back to school community event. Also, this is the first time I am announcing, but doing the back to school event in August, we're going to be having a health fair. And so stay tuned for that. MedStar has partnered with us, and you'll be able to get your blood checked, your blood pressure checked, your glucose check, your weight. It's going to have some different nurses and doctors from MedStar, and stay tuned. We're going to have all those posted. But if anyone is listening and they want to be a vendor, it's also a pop-up shop. We have a lot of vendors come out and share their local goods. Food vendors. We're going to have a moon bounce for the kids, DJ. So it's going to be lots of fun. So please save the date, Saturday, August 8th, to come out and get your book bag and school supplies and have a little bit of fun at the end of the summer. And then save the date in October is our annual domestic violence awareness brunch. That is October the 11th. And just stay tuned. There's the flyer for that. But just stay tuned and keep us on your radar. Again, anyone needing resources or need any type of help when it comes down to partner abuse, trauma, or domestic violence, we are here 24/7. Feel free to reach out to us on the website, angelshaven.com. You can give me a call, 301-246-3131, or if it's safer to email, support@angelshaven.com. Again, I just want to thank you so much, Kalina, for being with us tonight. And feel free to, you'll probably be seeing Kalina also at our back to school event. I'm hoping her and the university will come out and network and just talk to the community about mental awareness and also being an advocate, because we need it. We need it in the school systems. We need it. Our children need it. If they can teach our children how to put on condoms, they can teach our children about healthy relationships and mental health wellness, and that you don't have to self-medicate when you're depressed, that you can actually talk to someone, talk it out, and not be ashamed and not have pride, and know that it is okay to take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. So again, thank you so much. And I am going to end the recording.
The recording has stopped.
And I just want to say thank you to everyone who have participated, listened in tonight. And I hope to see you next Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
have a good night.
Good night.